As far as some of the areas which the Samajwadi Party has hold over include areas in eastern Uttar Pradesh like Azamgarh and Basti. As far as Yogi Adityanath's connect to eastern Uttar Pradesh is connected, it's from Gorakhpur. So certainly Purvanchal or eastern Uttar Pradesh become very important for both these parties in this current election that is going to take place early next year. And that is why we have seen politics breaking out over the issue of credit for the Purvanchal Expressway as well. BJP's Anila Singh is also joining us on the show now. Anila Singh, your response to what the Samajwadi Party has been saying, that all the BJP has done since it came to power in Uttar Pradesh is change the names of the projects that we had envisaged and launched and relaunch and re-inaugurate them.
See, no one is giving them any importance. They themselves are simply jumping and telling and thumping their chests and saying that they have done so much during their tenure in Uttar Pradesh. If they had done so much for Uttar Pradesh during their tenure, then why people of Uttar Pradesh did vote for Samajwadi Party? They were ousted in 2014 in parliament. I mean, they hardly got any seats. In 2017, door was shown to them by people of Uttar Pradesh. Then in 2019 also, we saw the result. So if people of Uttar Pradesh, they do not have any trust in Samajwadi Party, so it simply endorses that they did not do anything for the state. And Yogi Adityanath's government, since he has come to the power, since he has taken the oath as a chief minister of Uttar Pradesh, this Yogi is simply doing work for UP. And the Bhogi, they were shown the door. So this is the difference in between Yogi and Bhogi. भोगी तो चिल्लाएंगे बोलेंगे हम तो ये कर रहे थे वो कर रहे थे. We know it. They were mighty happy enjoying Safai Mahotsav. And here what we see that Yogi Adityanath ji is working on all verticals of human development index. And like I was listening the apolitical voices on your channel, and the way they were elated and showing their happiness technically also, and as people from defense background, this proves that this expressway is a pioneer in itself, I can say so.
All right. Anila Singh, stay on with us. Group Captain Vinod is also with us. Let me go across now to Abhishek Sudhir, political analyst, also joining us here on the show. Abhishek Sudhir, first of all, your reaction to the manner in which we are seeing this clamor for credit over the Purvanchal Expressway between the Samajwadi Party and the BJP. First of all, help us understand the political significance of this project for Eastern Uttar Pradesh. Why is it so crucial for the upcoming elections?
Well, Maha, I must tell you that I was in the region, I was in Sultanpur a couple of days ago. I actually got lost and I asked somebody for directions and I wanted to ask them where the expressway is. They couldn't really even direct me to the expressway. So I'm not entirely sure how much of a resonance this expressway will have with the Aam Aadmi of Uttar Pradesh. If you see, there's Mr. Om Prakash Rajbar, who's the leader of the Suheldev Bharatiya Samaj Party, has a significant amount of influence in Eastern Uttar Pradesh, played a key role in bringing the BJP to power in 2017. He's extremely cut up with the BJP and now he's allying with the Samajwadi Party. So honestly, there's a lot of dissatisfaction in Eastern Uttar Pradesh. I don't think the ordinary Aam Aadmi of Uttar Pradesh, of Purvanchal, really cares whether a Hercules plane can land or not. He's more worried about, his roti kapda makan. He's worried about mehengai. So we've seen that the BJP continues to polarize this election because they know that the expressway is not going to win them the election. If they have worked, if they have developed Eastern Uttar Pradesh, we need to be talking about the expressway day in and day out. Maha, I can tell you that before the election, you should do a tracker and see how many times the Hindu-Muslim issue is raked up by the BJP. The Hindu-Muslim issue will far outnumber the number of times development is talked about by the BJP. For them, it's a simple calling card. It's the calling card of communalization. For the Samajwadi Party, it's the calling card of development. I believe that the Samajwadi Party will prevail. And one last point, the expressway is half-baked. I can tell you that several sections of the expressway are not ready. There is not a single toilet, nor is there a single fuel station on the expressway. It's a half-baked expressway by a half-baked party.
But Anila Singh of the BJP is saying that if these projects for which the Samajwadi Party is today saying that we should be given credit as well because we conceived it, we floated the tenders. I mean, I'm just giving an example over here. Then why is it that the Samajwadi Party was ousted in the last elections? This is the question that the BJP is asking.
Well, Maha, every party has been ousted at every election in Uttar Pradesh. If Mr. Adityanath manages to win in March 2017, he will be the first chief minister in the history of Uttar Pradesh to win back-to-back terms. And remember, 2017 was not Mr. Adityanath's victory. 2017 was a victory of Mr. Modi, but it was a highly vitiated, polarized atmosphere. Polarization has had its time. The last 5 years, we've seen Mr. Adityanath again go back to this Chacha Jan, Abba Jan politics. Maha, you tell me, if they have worked, if they have delivered on development, why do we hear about Jinnah again and again? Yes, a stray statement was made, but they have turned that into a big issue. They talk about Muslim leaders and minority leaders from the Samajwadi Party. They try to paint the Samajwadi Party as a party of just Muslims. That is ridiculous. Mulayam Singh Yadav, Mayawati even, they have been elected repeatedly. And you have people like Kangana Ranaut who say that, oh, Azadi 2014, 2014 mein Azadi mili. The BJP has successfully painted a narrative that this nation became independent only when Mr. Modi became Prime Minister, and nobody other than Mr. Modi and now Mr. Yogi has done anything for the people of Uttar Pradesh. It is this false narrative, it's this communalized narrative. They are one of the richest political parties in the world. They have used opaque systems like electoral bonds to enrich themselves. They are a party which has a cash in hand of 4,000 plus crores. Maha, nobody can compete with them when it comes to advertising and marketing. They are the king of jumlas. A Hercules plane is landing on the streets there, right, on the expressway. But look at the price of cooking oil. Look at the price of mustard oil. Basic amenities we don't have in this country, and they're landing fancy planes on fancy expressways.
Okay, Anila Singh, you want to respond to that? That it's not something for the Aam Aadmi, at least as of now, is what Abhishek Sudhir is suggesting.
Maha, as a vessel is known by the sound, whether it is cracked or not. So men are proved by their speeches, whether they are wise or foolish. And what I have heard from the Samajwadi Party, whatever claims they are making, whatever accusations they are doing for Bharatiya Janata Party, that is absolutely foolish, I can say so. We live in a democratic system. And democracy is one thing which gives all the rights to the people living in that country or the state. And the state of Uttar Pradesh, people of Uttar Pradesh, they have proved that they have got trust with Bharatiya Janata Party. They are not standing anywhere. Making projects on files doesn't prove anything. If they would have done something for Uttar Pradesh, people wouldn't have voted them out. So whether we talk about infrastructure, whether we talk about health infrastructure, whether we talk about the metro connectivity, whether we talk about empowering women, whether we talk about the job creation, and above all, we have doubled the economy since we have come here. So our words are not empty words. We do things, and that is the difference in between Bhogi and Yogi.
Anila Singh, the point that is being made by Abhishek Sudhir is that when prices of cooking oil are touching the sky, will an expressway matter to the people of eastern Uttar Pradesh unless and until it becomes economically viable for the common man?
Let the people decide that if there is an inflation in the price of mustard oil or other things, it is going to affect the voting for Bharatiya Janata Party or not. And if we talk about the expressway, please allow me. And if we talk about the expressway, don't you think that this is one expressway that is going to save many things? It is going to bring progress in that area. Many more projects are going to be constructed on both the sides of the expressway. So the people who think that by constructing expressway, it is not going to do any good to the people of Uttar Pradesh or the adjoining states, then what to say about their mindfulness? But yes, I know that this expressway is a model in itself, and so many other things are going to be cropped on both the sides of the expressway. And let me tell Mr. Abhishek, when this expressway from Agra to Lucknow was constructed, at that time, we know it very well how it was. There was no public facility, no public utility, no refreshment centers. And so it is fine. Later on during our tenure, we got it completed. So it is a matter that whether we have to do proper things in right time or just simply accusing and praising Jinnah.
All right, Abhishek Sudhir, Anila Singh is suggesting that this is work in progress. At least we've done something, completed a project for people to see and use, and they believe that it will bring in economic prosperity for eastern Uttar Pradesh. Why is the fight, Abhishek Sudhir, for eastern Uttar Pradesh so critical this time around?
Well, Maha, just if I may just quickly rebut what Anila ji said, even let's assume, of course, expressways, they do bring about development, they bring about connectivity, there's no doubt about it. But Maha, look at the prices of fuel. You have a UP minister who says 95% of people don't need petrol. He says 95% of people don't need fuel. So what's the big deal if fuel prices are high? Now, what do you need to travel on the expressway? You need fuel. Maha, this is something that benefits the upper middle class and the creme de la creme of UP society. UP is a rural state. Eastern Uttar Pradesh is rural. Eastern Uttar Pradesh
But
traditionally and
Abhishek
especially.
Sudhir, better infrastructure helps people in rural India as well, doesn't
Of
it?
course, Maha, better infrastructure helps, but when you can't afford fuel, how are you going to travel on the expressway? And Maha, you can't fill petrol on this 341-kilometer expressway. That means you have to fill a full tank before you go on the expressway. Now, 341 kilometers, you have to fill a full tank. Like, the tolls on this expressway, they're four figures. Traveling on this expressway. This is not for the Aam Aadmi. This is for businesses. Yes, there will be a boost, much like Mr. Akhilesh Yadav built the Agra-Lucknow Expressway. Places like Firozabad, Malihabad, Kannauj, the towns and cities on the expressway got a boost. The industry got a boost. But trust me, this is not going to win them the election. It is the Mr. Rajbar, for example. He is a bellwether. The fact that Mr. Rajbar deserted the BJP, who he was a cabinet minister in Yogi's government, he knows the direction in which the wind is blowing. Mr. Rajbar knows that Mr. Yadav will return as chief minister. And I just want to tell Anila ji that yes, you have haphazardly inaugurated the Purvanchal Expressway. When Mr. Yadav most probably returns in March, I'm sure he's going to complete it because Mr. Yadav has no communal calling card. Mr. Yadav has to rely on development.
Can I interrupt you there? I mean, if you believe that this expressway doesn't have any worth, especially during these elections, why is it then that there is a clamor for credit then?
Well, Maha, it's a very simple thing. The foundation stone for this expressway was laid in December of 2016. As you yourself said, a majority of the land acquisition of the expressway was done. The tenders were granted. The BJP scrapped all of that without giving a valid reason. I beg your pardon. They delayed the project. It's taken 5 years for this project to be completed. The Agra-Lucknow Expressway was completed in 2 years, Maha. 2 years is all it took. They have not completed the expressway. They're making the Kashi Vishwanath corridor. I can tell you, I was in Kashi a couple of days ago. That corridor is nowhere near completion, but apparently they're going to inaugurate it on December 13th. They are just in a mad rush before the polls to take credit. So what is wrong if another party says, hey, you also have to give us credit? Nobody is saying the BJP does not deserve credit, but please also acknowledge the contributions of other parties. Please don't say India became an independent nation in 2014. There were people before Modi who have done work for this country.
Anila Singh, you want to respond to that there is a rush to inaugurate these projects ahead of the Uttar Pradesh elections. So certainly this is with an eye on elections rather than really thinking about the progress of the state, so to speak.
Funny thing is, Mr. Sudhir said that Purvanchal has a rural area. Whole of the Uttar Pradesh has a rural area. I live in Western Uttar Pradesh. Even Western Uttar Pradesh has a rural area. So, I mean, it is not that only Purvanchal has a rural area. So, this is why I say that Samajwadi Party's thought process is totally, it's bizarre. And secondly, let me tell Mr. Sudhir, I don't know whether at that time you were in politics or not. This particular project of Purvanchal Expressway, it came on papers in December 2016, just 2 months before the elections. So everybody knew that it is just for the sake of sake, just to show that we want to get this expressway constructed, and the criteria which should have been fulfilled before floating tenders, they were they were not covered up at all. They wanted to allot tenders to their favorites, so this is what they did.